Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to video 2. Good morning. At least it's morning. Excuse me at the time of recording this video. I got my coffee out. I hope you do as well, and you're ready to go, right? Anyway, this is where we left off last time. We were talking about how to set up code blocks and going over a little bit of the cout. So we know that cout means console out, and it'll print out to the computer. It'll read it out to you. And we also learned that -n means it'll make a new line, or if we prefer, we can use the end line. Right? Does the exact same thing. So if you don't remember, I'll go ahead and run it. Check it out. Once again, this is going very slow, more than usual. Okay, so there we go. It printed out and it ended the line, and then it went to the new cout statement. And I think we also went over that cout statements have the arrows pointing out, right? I think we went over that. But anyway, today we're going to learn about variables. So I went ahead and I pulled up this page. I'll put this in the description if you want to look at it. But the main ones we're going to worry about are int, double, bool, and char. Float, I'll go over that, but very similar to double. It's just a little bit smaller in size. But anyway, let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to delete all of this. Okay, so we have int, and that's the first one we're going to go over. Int is short for integer. So every time you declare a variable, you need to start out with what kind it is. So, for example, I want to make a variable named apples, and it's going to represent the number of apples. And it would be an integer. My dog is making a lot of noise behind me. I'm sorry if you hear that. What was I talking about? It is an integer, which means that it is a whole number. It cannot have a decimal point. So we do int apples, and we can name it whatever we want. Now there are a few exceptions to that, but I doubt you would use that. But the ones that are the exceptions, you can name it however you please. So int apples. Once again, apples is the name, and the type is integer, right? So we'll just leave it like that. Next one is a double. Double is kind of like an int. It's a number, but this time it does have a decimal point. So let's say I don't know, what's a decimal point? Maybe height. Is height? Yeah, I guess you can have point or dollar, I guess. Dollars. Okay, so dollars, we have $10.5 or $10.50. Since it has a decimal point, it is a double. We cannot use int. I'll show you what happens if we accidentally use int once we put a number value associated with that. Next one is bool. Bool is pretty simple. We'll just make this. I like to use continue. Continue is a decent bool. I guess contin. As we saw, continue lit up blue, which means it was associated with something else. So I just made it shorter and I named it contin. Bool is not a number value. Bool can either equal true or false. It is a go or no go kind of way to think of it. That's all it can hold. It can't hold anything else. And then the last one we're going to talk about is char or char. I've heard it called both. That holds a character value. So letter. It can hold a letter. It can hold symbols such as like period, exclamation point, whatever. So we'll go ahead And now that you see all of these variables and their types, we have int. Let's go over them real quick again, just so you understand. Int is a whole number. Double has a decimal point. Bool can either be true or false, and char is a letter or a symbol, and we'll see that here in a second. I'll put values to each one of them. So now we're going to set values to each one of these. So since this is an int, not it, we're going to go equals and then put some kind of numeric integer value. So I'm just going to put 4. So now that we put equals after apples and a value, apples is now equal to 4. And how do I know this? You can check by that cout statement. Now remember before when we did the cout statements, we used quotations, which meant it was literally reading out what we want. Well, if we put apples in quotations, since that is the name, it's going to actually read out apples. I would load it, but that would take 7 seconds of my life. I don't want to give up. That's too bad. I guess I'm giving it up. You'll see what I mean. Oh, here we go. See, it just reads out apples. It doesn't read out what apples is equal to. So in order to do that, we don't use quotations, because it's not literally reading out apples. It's reading out the value of apples. So now it will read out 4. And I'll get some, I'll get unused variables. It's kind of mad that we haven't put anything to these and we haven't used them, but it's okay for practice sake. Alright, so see, it reads out 4. So when you're reading out the value of a variable that you made, you don't use, whoa, I've never done that before. You don't use quotations. You just write out the name of that variable. So int, we put a whole number, and no quotations when reading it out. You can check by doing a simple cout statement. Alright, and since we're going to do multiple, I'm just going to end the line. Double dollars, I think the example was like 10, was equal to 10.5. So just like int, we just put equals in the value, and you'll see that with all of these. So we can do this, dollars to check. Bool contin, like I said, that can either be true or false. We're just going to make it true. And in binary, true is equal to 1 and false is equal to 0. So when it reads contin out, it's going to say 1 because it's true. It doesn't actually read out true. And letter, what letter do we want? Okay, so when you put out a letter or a symbol for a char, you use single. What is that? Single quotation? And let's do D. Okay. So now you have a look. I guess we should read it out. Sorry about my typing abilities. Okay. So now it should read out all of these variables that we put numbers associated to, or values, I guess, because not all of them are numbers. So we'll go ahead and build this, and you'll see all of these equal what we gave it. Alright, so we got 4, 10.5, 1, because 1, like I said, is equivalent to true, and D, that is the values, or those are the values that we gave it. There are other ways to set values to the name of the variable or the variable itself. You can use these brackets. Okay, that is another way to set it equal to. As we will see, come on. All right, you can either use, I don't know any of the technical terms for this. So these brackets right here, it does the same exact thing as equals, or the other brackets. What are those called? Curly brackets? I don't know. Hell if I know. That's the theme of this whole tutorial, is hell if I know. There we go. Alright, so I don't know if there are any advantages using one over the other. Not that I know of. I just want you to see it all so you know what it's doing. You're like, oh, they didn't put equals, but it's doing the same effect. Yeah, you can do it with either of these as well. So those are variables. Let's see how long this is. Alright, 11 minutes. We're going to stop right there, but you've learned the basic variables. And go ahead, if you're doing this on your own, kind of copy what I did here, but make different names and different values, and also send them out to the console and make sure they're right. Make sure what you put in is correct. And don't forget, when you're sending them out to the console, no quotations, or it'll read out what you named it. Excuse me. Anyway, yeah, just do that, practice, check it out, make sure you got it, and I'll see you next time. I appreciate you guys. Like I said, I am not an expert, so don't come on here saying if you are an expert, this guy sucks. I already know that. But yeah, I appreciate everyone watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.